Hello, this is Nick Varveris, and this is my Strat-O-Matic story. I figure, heck, if Hal Richmond can have one, so can I. So where do I begin? My first introduction to Strat-O-Matic baseball was when I ordered the 1967 replay season, the selector set that included just 6 teams, my favorite Cleveland Indians, who weren't very good, the Detroit Tigers, and the Boston Red Sox. In the National League, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Cincinnati Reds, and the St. Louis Cardinals. This was after the Boston versus St. Louis World Series, which to my recollection was the very first series that I truly was vested in. I recall my 6th grade teacher bringing in a color TV set and one of those big AV carts as we watched the first and maybe part of the second inning before being dismissed from school. My friends and I then just dashed home to catch the rest of the World Series games. Yes, they were day games on our home TVs. And in 1967, I don't think we had a color TV yet. I would go outside and imitate the batting stance outside and hit rocks over a mythical home run fence. I kept crude stats, and I had my own way of keeping scorecards. A slide rule. I learned to use a slide rule which carried me through my freshman year at Ohio State. The Texas Instrument calculators that were coming out at that time were just too expensive for me to own at that time. I must have played solo for a few years, but I don't recall how many seasons I actually played in Strat-O-Matic past that initial 1967 season. I may have played it several seasons, or I may have purchased other selector sets. I just can't remember. I kept my cards, and later, while serving an internship back in Columbus after medical school in Cleveland, I wandered into a sporting goods store. It wasn't a big retail thing, and it was on West Broad Street, and I met the manager, who was an avid Strat-O-Matic fan, as well as APBA. I gave him my old Strat cards, which he treasured. I got back into Strat-O-Matic after a period of inactivity in that 1982-83 season, and purchased a complete set for the whole season replay of the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cleveland Indians. Once I started my medical practice in 1984, initially I had no time for Strat, but in the next 5 to 10 years, Strat introduced computer versions of the game, including a Macintosh version that I played, but I always ordered the cards together with the computer discs. From my point of view, the only reason for the computer game was so I could replay the entire American League and National League schedule, except for the Cleveland Indian games, which I was playing directly or manually with the cards. You see, by that time, the Indians were actually getting good. As my kids grew, once again, I put Strat-O-Matic away as I concentrated on my own kids' sports, soccer, baseball, basketball, and eventually football for my son. So in summary, that brought me to the 2016 replay season, where I played Cleveland's as-played schedule and then the entire American and National League playoffs, culminating with the World Series loss to the Cubs. Although the actual World Series game went an exciting 7 games, my Strat replay was far different. The Cubs were so dominant and won in 5 games against my beloved tribe.